Hey everyone, welcome back. Haven't done these in a while. Just been real busy, I can't lie. And haven't had much time to make videos and content, and I've been lazy, procrastinating. And it's just been quite a July, to be honest. Quite a July indeed. And so many things just happened. And I didn't even get a chance to talk about any of them when they were happening. You know, like World Cup ending, um, LeBron James, and what else? I know I said the World Cup ending. I was going to say something else. Um, the Odyssey. You know, just all these things that just been happening, and I don't know. You can get my 2 cents in the final moments of this video, and you know, if you wanna skip to that, maybe you can if you want to. I actually want to talk about something that happened to me today, and it was kind of an invasion of privacy moment. Not with me. I was invading someone else's privacy on not on purpose. Well, maybe, but just out of curiosity, really. And it's kind of a interesting story, maybe a little R-rated, but yeah, I just want to talk about it because I just had an awful commute. The train had some problems, so my 20-minute GO train ride took 50 minutes. But, you know, according to the GO train, if your ride takes longer than 15 minutes, then, like, over 15 minutes than expected, so let's just say for my sake, it was 35 minutes, then I can ask for, like, a refund or, like, yeah, basically the trip will be free. So I did that. I've done it a couple times before, but to be honest, I got a new card recently, so I've never done it with this, and I'm kind of worried because I didn't register it to anything, so it's like a fresh card. So we'll have to see if that'll work, even if it's a fresh card. But yeah, at least I have that going for me. You know, even though they were late, I could still get the refund, I guess. But on to my story. I was headed to the train after work like I normally do. I'm a bit late leaving the office because, yeah, lots of work. So I left, you know, not that far off. I usually leave 4:30. I left 4:35. My train comes at 4:50. So luckily for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, I wasn't like 10 minutes late, or else I would have had to take the next GO train. But yeah, I was able to make my train, but I did have to skedaddle a bit. Wasn't really like the greatest of moments, but I did make it indeed, and really it was all for nothing because I was late anyway. And the whole debacle of it all, really is just what happened is that everyone on the actual train had to get off, and then we had to get on the next train. So really, if I just, even if I missed it and got onto the next train, I would have been able to, you know, I would have been arriving at my destination the same amount of time. So it didn't even really matter if I was late or not. But alas, my my story starts with me picking my seat. If you can imagine, the seats are in a bunch of rows, okay? And sometimes they have the two seats facing towards the train, and then in front of you are two seats facing towards the back of the train, or vice versa, depending on which seats you're sitting at. And so a lot of the time you're just staring at a stranger. So you know, like that's just how it is. But I happen to get a spot where it's like closer to the wall, and if you can, you might have a really hard time imagining it, but just imagine like you're just in a regular, like any regular seat orientation. You know, like you are in a row and you're sitting right behind someone who's looking straight. You know, just like in a movie theater, like at a concert. You know, you're just sitting right behind a person, and you're all looking towards the stage, basically. And that's how this is the orientation, except we're all sitting towards the front of the train. And so the seats are relatively close, like I mean pretty close, to the point where I can kind of see the person diagonal from me. Okay, I can't see what's the person in front of me. It's not like the seats are slanted, you know, unlike a movie theater. Like in a movie theater, like the person in front of you would be a bit lower than you, so you can see in front of you. And so it's not like that, okay? These seats are like the exact same height. It's like you're on a school bus, basically, and you can't see the person in front of you, but I can see the person because there's a little crack in between. I can see the person diagonally for me, okay? And you can kind of guess where this is going. I can see, you know, everything that's going on with the person diagonally from me, okay? And this person, okay, it's a woman, and she, like, every time she uses her phone, she's using it straight up against her face, okay? I'm talking like she is holding it like not even 5 centimeters away from her face, and she's holding the phone like she's taking a picture, so I can see every single thing that she's doing on that phone. And you know, the brightness is so up, and you know, how can I not be a little bit curious and see what the frick she's doing? Okay, I tried to mind my own business. Okay, I really did. I feel like I did a normal amount a person would do if they respected another person. But, you know, I was on my phone, you know, I looked up a bit sometimes, you know, like, you know, when the train was moving, you know, when other people were walking by against the aisle, you know, I was, you know, putting my head up and down a few times, and, you know, I kind of got a glimpse of what she was doing, okay? And it's nothing out of the ordinary, okay? She's just watching Instagram Reels, or in TikTok, actually. She was, like, going back and forth, I think, or maybe it was just TikTok. And, you know, they were just doing normal stuff. I didn't really care. They got a couple of, like, I don't know, memes. They had, like, Asian influencers on their page and a couple of other things. But, again, I wasn't noticing too hard. In the beginning of the train ride, I was just, like, focusing on my sort of thing. You know, I was playing Clash of Clans. I was playing with my cock. And, you know, we're just on our way. We're having, you know, our usual train ride. And then we have a couple of stops, and then there's the main stop, and we were at the stop for, you know, a good 20 minutes before they let everyone out. But during this time, you know, I was getting kind of bored. I didn't want to look at my phone anymore, so I was just, like, you know, looking up. You know, I was looking up. I was doing a normal human being, just looking straight up, and, you know, I can see what she's doing on her phone. And then she starts texting a guy, okay? And I don't know who this is. It's obviously maybe her boyfriend or a friend or whatever. I don't know who. It could be anything. But to reiterate some of the text that I saw, you know, it was just normal text. It was just you know, what you doing, blah 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 blah. The guy was talking about how he was doing work, or about to do work, and they were talking about where they're gonna meet up. She said she was gonna, like, he's like, oh, do you want to drive to me? Blah 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 blah. She says, yeah, sure, I'll drive to you. And that was the conversation. That was the entire conversation. Then I went back to looking at my phone, looked back up to see what she's doing, and then she's kind of going back and forth between TikTok and the conversation, okay? And the reels that she starts getting are about the Odyssey, actually. And I was actually intrigued. I was like, oh, wow, she got some Odyssey reels. And they're just like, you know, stuff about the Odyssey. Spoiler alert, you know, talking about the sirens, talking about Helen of Troy, some other stuff. And then she got the beggar meme. Get these beggars out of here, you know, these plate licker type, you know what I'm saying? And she messages her, well, at this point, I assume it's boyfriend. So she messages her boyfriend about seeing these TikTok. She's saying, like, oh, I keep getting the Odyssey beggar TikTok, blah 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 blah. And I think that was really funny. Like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, okay, they're just talking about the Odyssey, right? They're just talking about the Odyssey memes, whatever, blah blah blah. Then it just takes a complete 180. Okay, I stop looking. Okay, I go back to my phone. I start playing with my cock. I look up. I kid you not, this is the first message that I see, and it's a little R-rated, so bear in mind, I warned you before I said it. The text was literally, can I suck your cock later? I saw that message. I couldn't help but feel a little bit embarrassed, because then I knew I fucked up. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, uh-oh. What did I just look? I had to double take, because I was like, did I see that message clearly? Did I see it clear? And I was like, okay, that is definitely what the message says. And the funniest thing wasn't even the message itself, and I felt really awkward, because I was like, oops, this is where I probably shouldn't have looked at anything. And then the guy replies with, not gonna, he's just like, I can't do that, I'm doing work later, right? He's just denying it. And then a couple of random things, I couldn't really read whatever they were talking about after. And then the conversation kind of ends, and then she goes back to watching TikToks. I kind of look for a couple of minutes to see if there was any interesting things that unfold, but unfortunately, nothing happens. It literally just ends right then and there. And so I just kind of like sitting there, and then we left the train, and then I got a glimpse of her face, and then I was like, okay, now I feel really weird. Now I feel really weird, and I did not mean to intrude in the conversation. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not know how that because it really looked like a regular conversation. That just came out of fucking nowhere. And I was just like, okay, that's, I learned my lesson, that's for sure. And, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so out of the loop. I didn't realize conversations could go from 0 to 100 like that, but it's just really funny. And I like the fact that this brother was so focused on his mission about doing the work that he was just like, yeah, no, sorry, can't do that today. You know, we'll go, we gotta schedule this another time. And I just like, oh man, that's kind of crazy. And after looking at her, you know, she wasn't like that far from, I would say, my age, to be honest. But with Asian women, she was Asian. With Asian women, you can't really tell because, you know, a 30-year-old Asian girl could really be just in her 20s. Actually, no, sorry. The reverse, really. A girl that looks like she's Asian girl that looks like she's 20 could be like in her 30s. And to be honest, it's like so hard to tell. From, you know, a guesstimate, what we can gather from the information, you know, she drives. So I would say at least senior in high school. That would be my guess to an adult working woman. Because, you know, coming from downtown, that, I mean, it could be coming from school, but it could really be anything. And yeah, that was my whole spiel today. Because I feel like I should have learned my lesson and mind my own damn business. And now I just have this information that I wish I never read. And honestly, I'm going to leak the guy's name because who fucking knows if they're going to watch this. But, you know, shout out my guy Ethan for really holding back. I have a friend named Ethan. Maybe I'll give him a call and be like, hey man, are you expecting some sloppy today? Like I just, or did you deny some sloppy today? Because to be honest, man, I feel like you should have, you should have gone with the offer there. I feel like there's nothing to lose. But you know, shout out him for having great composure, I guess. And yeah, I apologize for intruding, even though they don't know that I looked at their conversation for just, you know, a couple of minutes. Maybe, at most. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. I guess the lesson learned here is to, yeah, mind your damn business. Because the shit you might see is kind of crazy. You might see some crazy shit, man. You might see some crazy shit. And I wish they just kept talking about the Odyssey, because I like the movie, so, you know, I thought we could get some more beggar memes, but I guess we were just seeing some Odyssey. Some Odyssey.